Cleve and I take a road trip to Holton, Maine to conduct a private paranormal investigation. After we did this investigation, we stopped by Cleve's father's house for a short visit. While talking with Cleve's father, the town of Amity comes up in conversation. Cleve and his father talked to me about all the murders, suicides, and murder-suicides that took place in this small community. Amity has a population of 238 residents. Within this small community, tragedy dates all the way back to the 1860s. I mentioned to Cleve it sounds like Amity would be a good place to conduct paranormal investigations based on all these tragic events. Cleve tells me about a triple murder in Amity. He also tells me about Samantha Smith. She is buried in Amity. And an article is written about the Spur family who died in the 1860s from diphtheria. The whole family was wiped out in a matter of 4 years. Cleve takes me to 3 locations in Amity: the Spur burial site, the cemetery Samantha Smith is laid to rest in, and the location where a triple murder took place in 2010. Going to these locations, it wasn't my intentions to conduct paranormal investigations. I only wanted video footage for future documentaries. During our brief visit at these 3 locations, I was surprised that paranormal activity was captured. I wasn't there to do a paranormal investigation. When doing paranormal investigations, I've learned many encounters will take you down a road of endless questions. We try to answer these questions one investigation at a time. After we visit the murder site from 2010, the activity captured leads me down another road, a dark road, looking into the mind of a murderer, and I also learn it's possible murder victims will follow their killers looking for justice through law enforcement. The first stop we make is right here where the Spurs lived back in the mid-1800s. Sadly, this whole family died in the 1860s from diphtheria.
This lady died in 1860. That one died in 1862.
1861 in the end.
1864.
Or so, yep,
I mean, they're all like 2 years apart. And tragedy struck the town in the form of diphtheria. Nearly all the children came down with it, and even entire families died from it. The survivors hastily buried their dead without funerals in an attempt to keep others from exposure to the dreaded disease. The entire Spur family succumbed to the epidemic. Their little family cemetery lies just off the Estabrook Road.
So, Sarah died at the age of 44 in 1860.
Well, we didn't know she was more because Sarah Spur died December 31st, aged 12 years.
Okay, so that must have been the daughter.
See, this is Alden, died October 28th, 1962.
Right.
Olive Spur died December 25th, 1862. Sarah died December 31st, 1862. So all 3 of these died within a couple months of each.
Yeah.
October, December, and December. Yeah, this was only 6 days between Olive and Sarah.
So a 24-year-old, no, hold on, yeah, 24-year-old.
I think 17.
17-year-old and a 12-year-old.
Right.
There are rumors that the father, Alden Spur Sr., was digging his own grave, and he was the last to die. He was found in the hole which he was digging for his own grave. We didn't find a headstone that belonged to Alden Sr. Again, these are just rumors. So Sarah Spur died first in 1860.
That must have been the mother.
Now, did they live on this land?
Yeah, right down here in the corner. You wouldn't be able to see it now, but it's right off in the main road.
Is the house still there? Or is
No. I remember when I cut wood here 25 years ago. I remember when Perry cut the wood. There was a big birch tree about that big around right in the dead center of that cellar hole.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have learned after doing numerous paranormal investigations, there are times when the activity is present. You can feel the static electricity on your face, and you can also feel the static electricity on your hands. At this moment, I felt static electricity on my face. Right after this, an EVP was captured. After feeling this faint static electricity on my face and hands, I decided to pull out the EMF meter to see if we get any energy readings. And to my surprise, we actually did get energy readings here at this site. Right, strange thing is about this place is we're getting some energy readings here. And the camera I'm using right now is not a cell phone camera with service. It has no service at all. And there's nothing around here. We're out in the middle of absolutely nowhere. There is no power source around here at all. So I do find this kind of strange that we're getting some readings on this. Is there anybody out here? Cleve, did you say something? When I heard this disembodied voice, it was much louder in real time. I really thought Cleve said something. I was surprised when Cleve said that wasn't him. Hello? I hope the camera picked that up. I heard it again.
Really?
Your hearing's bad, right?
It is. Very bad.
It's like it's coming right here, right in front of me. Are you here? Can you tell me your name, please? I decided to go ahead and pull out the spirit box and use this on the white noise setting. To my surprise, we didn't capture anything using the spirit box. It's kind of weird, we're getting energy readings, and I know I heard two disembodied voices. We're getting absolutely nothing off the spirit box, nothing. Interesting. Never had it that way before. Usually when you get energy readings, you get something off the spirit box. But not all spirits will use the spirit box either.
Right.
I'm not going to stand here.
Yeah, if they died in the mid-1800s, they didn't even know what electricity was.
Yeah. Alright, we're going to let you guys be, okay? May you rest in peace, Spur family. Another thing I've learned when doing paranormal investigations, usually there's always a spirit that will ask for help. I actually heard a strange sound come from the ground when this EVP was captured, and I proceeded to look at the ground to see where the sound came from. Growing up in the 1960s, we lived in a time where the threat of nuclear war between the United States and the Soviet Union was a day-to-day reality. In the 1970s, this reality lived on in the minds of most Americans. Nuclear war was coming. Millions lived in fear our end was near. On November 20th, 1983, a movie called The Day After was broadcast on ABC. This movie showed the reality of nuclear war between the United States and the Soviet Union. It was estimated over 100 million people viewed The Day After, making this the most watched television program during its time. After the movie The Day After was broadcast, many Americans suffered from nightmares over nuclear war. As a young adult, I too remember having nightmares. I remember seeing these missiles in the sky. We knew our destruction was at hand. Many young adults lost all hope of any future. World War III was coming in our minds. The end was near. However, in 1982, things took a turn. A young girl by the name of Samantha Smith sent a letter to the Soviet Union General Secretary Yuri Andropov seeking peace and an end to the threat of nuclear war. Samantha received a personal reply with a personal invitation to visit the Soviet Union. Back in those days, Samantha became the youngest ambassador of the United States. She went to the Soviet Union seeking peace and an end to the Cold War. Samantha's visit to the Soviet Union eventually opened a dialogue for peace talks between both countries. Tragedy struck on August 25, 1985. Samantha and her father died in a plane crash in Auburn, Maine. However, Samantha's legacy will always live on in the minds of everyone who lived through the Cold War era. I clearly remember Samantha's visit to the Soviet Union. Her peace talks with the Soviet Union lives on in the hearts of many Americans today.
My Uncle Tom is his dad's brother, and that's my grandfather Cleve. Adrien is his dad, and over there Ames and Nancy, they were the original settlers here. Born in 1818, 1896 is when he died.
Now, why are they buried next to this person, do you know?
I don't know, because this is an Estabrook from a long time ago. 1865, so that's been here a long time. I don't know if she specifically wanted it to be under that tree. Of course, back at that time, that tree could have been that big around.
Yeah, or that tree could have been planted there.
Could have, yeah. I believe, I don't know, but I think the reason why the mom had them buried here first, that's where they came from. But if it was in Manchester, down where they were from, I mean, she would get mobbed with attention, especially at that time.
Right.
They used to live in Amity, just out on the Lysette Road, and then they had moved to Manchester, and I'm not sure why. I almost thought Arthur, the dad, I believe he was a teacher. I'm not sure, though. And that's why they moved to Manchester.
Right.
And and the mom had him brought back here. I had heard, not directly from the mom, of course, but she didn't want him to be buried in Manchester because there would be too much attention at the grave. So they had him come up here, so not as many people really knew. I mean, it's common knowledge now. You can look it right up on the internet and it will come up. But it's enough in the past that people aren't going to go out of their way to make a trip up here for this. So she'd be more apt to be in peace here.
Samantha, we all appreciate what you did. This was the beginning of the end of the Cold War. And that was true, too. Yeah. What she did was the beginning. It opened up a dialogue between President Reagan and Gorbachev to have talks. And I believe Samantha was the key to the end of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union.
I remember her as a kid on the school bus. I remember dropping her off and her getting on the school bus, and you know, she was 72, so she was only 3 years younger than me.
Yeah.
So I remember getting
So you met her?
Oh yeah.
You knew Samantha.
Oh yeah. I mean, we weren't like buddies, but you know, she was 3 years younger than me, and you know, she died in '85. That would have been when I was in what, a freshman or a sophomore in high school.
Right.
So, but I used to see her all the time getting on and off the bus when I rode the school bus. Real pretty girl, long straight hair. Yeah.
All right, so this area that we're in has had a lot of murders and murder-suicides and suicides.
Yep.
I mean, for a small area like this, I mean, I heard your dad talking about the amount of suicides here and the murder-suicides.
One of them took place right over there.
What happened? Remember,
he was telling you about Payson Williams? I think it was him that came up here and shot himself at his father's grave. Right. So that's another ancestor, Caleb Hall.
Now, we were talking about suicides and murder-suicides. What happened right here?
Well, a man named Payson came up here, and right out of his father's grave, he shot himself. This is Payson. And Spur and Elsie were their parents. They lived down the road here. We drove by the old house foundations.
So he stood right here where this tombstone's at and committed suicide.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I thought he come and he kind of leaned right up against that thing, the stone, and shot himself. Just kind of leaned against it. Because my dad was up the road here a little ways, probably half a mile is where the schoolhouse stood, and when it happened, they sent him home from school.
And that was in the 1950s?
Yeah, it looks like 51.
Anybody know why he committed suicide?
Just the grief of his dad being gone, I guess. See, that's 51. I don't know if his mom was already passed away by then or not. No, see, his mom hadn't passed away yet. She didn't pass away until 64. So it was because of his dad. His dad passed away in 49. So it was a couple years after his dad died.
That's sad.
Yeah.
And to think that it happened right here in this spot.
Right there. Yep. Yep.
All right, so then there was also a triple homicide that you were telling me about, and we're going there next, right?
Yeah. Yep, that's down the road, probably, say, 2 miles from here.
Three people are dead, including a 10-year-old boy, and state police are calling their deaths a homicide. Investigators say a relative found the bodies last night in a mobile home on Route 1 in the town of Amity, just south of Holton, and they still don't know who did it. As News 8's Keith Baldy reports, this certainly has shaken everyone in the small town.
Well, neighbors near this home and family of the victim say this is both horrifying and frightening. Horrifying because of the nature of the crime, and frightening because they say they don't know who the person responsible is and where that person might be. Whether you ask people in the tiny Aroostook County town of Amity or state police around here, the answer is the same. They don't think there's ever been a triple homicide in this area and can't remember the last time something as violent as this happened.
So Cleve, right here is where the triple homicide took place?
Yeah, I believe that building there is where it happened to the dad. And then the dad's friend, I guess, he was out closer to the road. Then the 10-year-old boy was still in the trailer, actually down in his bedroom.
So the dad and the dad's friend and the 10-year-old boy was murdered here.
Yeah.
Police say 55-year-old Jeffrey Ryan, his 10-year-old son Jesse, and 30-year-old Jason DeHaan, a family friend, were all stabbed to death inside this home on Route 1 in Amity. Authorities believe the person or people who killed them did so early Wednesday morning, then stole Jeffrey Ryan's Ford pickup and took off.
That's probably where the trailer sat, because I know that little tree house was in front of the trailer. Seems like it would have been like right where those Black Susans are.
And that tree house belonged to the 10-year-old boy that was murdered?
Yeah. Yep. His dad built it for him.
I stabbed Jason, and Jesse ran into the back room. So I chased Jesse, and he was the quickest. He just said he was scared.
That must have been right here.
I don't know if it had any pads. A lot of times around here people just put the trailers on cement. I'm pretty sure that was the little building where the dad was killed.
And so the dad was murdered right in here.
I believe so, yeah. They had said it was in the little building behind the house. He was going in to get, I don't remember if it was nails or something for the jerk that killed him.
He stabbed him right here in this room?
I believe so, yeah. Or right outside of it. I thought it was he was in there trying to get something and he attacked him when he was in here.
And he said, "Oh, I got nails." So he took me to the shed to show me nails, and I stabbed him in the back.
I think this is the building.
They have chickens?
Yeah, it could have been chickens or... Yeah, I was going to say, it must have been chickens, because if it was pigs, they wouldn't have had to put anything on the top.
It's such a sad story.
Oh, it's brutal.
Police say a family member who had been trying to get in touch with Jeffrey Ryan eventually went over to the house yesterday evening, found the bodies, and called 911.
Did anybody else live on this property after the murder, or did they pretty much
So I think after that it was...
vacated?
Yeah.
So the guy still has all of his wood piled up here, like, and it hasn't been moved ever since.
Yeah.
Hello? When I opened the door and looked into the small building Jeff built for his son Jesse, I could feel the love he put into this construction of this playhouse for his son. What was once a place of fond memories for a 10-year-old boy is now a room filled with the past of what was. 9 years of dust, mold, and the passage of time is all that's left from Jesse's past. That evil in the mind of one person ended the future of this 10-year-old boy. Such evil justified in his mind, Ormsby stated good would come from his acts of murder. Is Ormsby mentally ill, or was this the influence of pure evil, demonic forces working through someone willing to commit such horrific acts of murder? I examined Ormsby's confession closely, looking for clues that would shed light if this guy was demonically influenced by evil spirits. When I listened to his recorded confession conducted by Maine State Police, what was captured made me question, do murder victims' spirits follow law enforcement, looking for justice?
Yep. Yeah, I'll just see you for a second. Did he bring you a coffee? When he gets back in here, I'll go get you one, alright? Do you actually want a coffee though? Yes. Okay, I'll get you one in a minute.
If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you have the right to stop answering at any time. Stop answering any time until you can talk to a lawyer. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You do? Now, having all these rights I've just explained to you in mind, do you wish to answer questions at this time?
Yes, sir.
You do. Where do you want to start?
Where would you like to start?
When did you go up there that night?
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night? What time
Before
was
dark.
it? Before dark?
6, 7.
Jason was there at this point. Jason was there at this point.
Jason.
Jason was there at this point. Was that the first time you met him?
That was the first time.
Okay. What happened? You're on your pedal bike.
It's not my pedal bike.
Okay. What happened?
I mean, how detailed do you want to be?
As much as you can.
So what, just walk through me memories.
Yeah.
What do you remember?
Walk me through it.
Yeah. I'm already guilty. I might as well.
Right.
Okay, so I'll start from the beginning. I show up, and my idea is to kill Jeff Ryan, take his truck, and kill Alvin Silsby because they were bad people and they hurt people, and I did. And I thought it was some means of justification. I thought something good could grow from taking away them.
Mm-hmm. So you go in.
So like I said, everything was going fine, and we were talking about, I'd been talking about spending the winter in the forest, just camping out.
In the forest, you
Yeah,
said? Okay.
building a hut.
Sure.
And he said, oh, I got nails. So he took me to the shed to show me nails, and I stabbed him in the back.
He said, stop it. Okay. Yeah. You don't say anything to him. He's down, and
And
you
I
leave
go
him
back
there.
in. I leave him in, and I go back in. chased Jesse, and he was the quickest. He just said he was scared. He stabbed Jason, and Jesse ran into the back room. So I chased Jesse, and he was the quickest. So I chased Jesse, and he was the quickest. He just said he was scared.
Well, what's going through your head right now?
I'd rather die. Honestly, to spend an entire life in prison as a slave, when everything I've studied and everything I've believed and everything has led me to believe that freedom is the most important thing there is.
What would you like to have happen?
The best possible outcome from this,
Realistically,
realistically.
of course.
Well, I mean, obviously, the families need to know what happened. They deserve an apology. It won't be much.
Yeah, I was going to say, what should we tell the family? What do you want us to tell the family? What do you want us to tell the little boy's mother?
That it wasn't personal. That it wasn't personal. What can you tell her, honestly?
I don't know.
I can't bring you back from the dead. You can't send me to Hades. I can't bring you back from the dead. You can't send me to Hades.
No. But you put him there. You killed his son. What do you want us to say to the mother? Or what do you want us to say to Jason's wife and 3 little kids? He has 3 kids, what, 1, 2, and 10 or something? Anything you want us to tell those kids? Other than the fact you're just trying to see if you're proficient or not? All right, let me go check with my people.
Okay, you want to take that with you? Is that your pen, Dan? So you take care of it.
Yeah.
Best possible outcome.
Okay.
honestly. Yep. That good things could grow where evil was destroyed. You might not see it like that, but it's quite possible that these families will now become closer or stronger where they weren't. That maybe those children might be better growing up without their father. As for the boy,